Lindsay Myeni, the widow of slain South African Lindani Myeni, expressed her shock at the lack of remorse by the Honolulu police who fatally shot her husband earlier this year. In July, the Honolulu prosecutor, Steve Alm, announced that the police officers were justified in shooting Myeni in April and that they would not face murder charges. Lindsay had taken to Facebook saying this was one of the lowest days in her life. Well, she joins us now to discuss that life, what life has been like after the tragedy and her fight for justice. Lindsay, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. You know, it's been almost 6 months since you laid your husband to rest. And at the time, you were talking about not feeling safe in returning to Honolulu and saying that you'd rather opt to stay here in South Africa. What has life been like since the passing?
Yeah, that's still true. I still feel safer here than back there. Life has been hard. I think grief is one of those things that never ends in a way. Like maybe it will get better in time, but actually I feel like it's just now hit me. I don't know, the first 3 or so months I think you're kind of like numb on the high of life happening and changes, but then now it's like the living every day to day without the father of my kids, without my husband. So it's been really hard in that way, but I do feel safe here in KZN. Even with the looting, I still felt safer here than back home in Hawaii.
So, I mean,
because doing the police, and the police are kind of like a gang there in a way, and I just don't like the idea of them knowing where I live. And yeah, it's just a small island. Yeah.
You had spoken about the South African government being overwhelmingly supportive as opposed to the kind of experience you had in Honolulu with the police officers there and the outcome of the case. Let's talk about perhaps some of the efforts that may be underway to ensure that you can indeed live permanently in South Africa, because, I mean, you know, it's a lengthy process to become a citizen of South Africa. Yes,
you know, I've still never heard anything from the U.S. government. The police department never contacted me. No condolences, anything. Nothing from them still. But as for the South African government, they did help me repatriate the body. They just helped pay me back for that now, and they ran the whole funeral and paid for everything. That was so nice of them. And they did promise to help me with citizenship, but right now, it's been dead ends. When I contact them, they say you kind of have to go back in the queue at Home Affairs, and so those have kind of been empty promises for now. But I'm hoping there will be, you know, some way. I know there's an exemption. They can do an exemption that they give me citizenship, that I don't have to wait another few years of not knowing if I have to be deported back home, or the visas are kind of tricky. You think when you marry someone from another country that you automatically have citizenship of each other's country. But in fact, Lindani had been working towards getting American citizenship, which takes like 5 years. And I've been working towards South African, which takes like 5 years. But right now, I mean, as it stands, I only have a month left on my visa, and then they could deport me. And that's kind of a frightening thought, because both of my kids are citizens, you know, and they have a right to be here as citizens, but I'm still just a visitor by those standards.
It's a very tricky situation. What have your interactions with the Home Affairs Department been in terms of you perhaps getting some sort of extension as you try and process your documents?
This has been the extension. I filed on my own for I had a 3-month visitor's visa, and then I filed another 3-month extension. But anything for now is just the next thing I can do is just try to get another 2-year visa, and then try to get another one after that. And it's kind of a lengthy process with a lot of uncertainty. So, you know, when they promised to help with citizenship, I thought, wow, that is such a weight off my shoulders, like on top of being the man of the house. On top of being the man of the house now, it would be so nice to just not have that one extra stress of not knowing if you're part of this country or not knowing if you can work in this country or not. It's kind of a hard middle ground. I mean, and Lindani had experienced that too in America. He had felt like not a citizen. You can't even pay taxes. You can't open a bank account. There's just so much you can't do when you're not a citizen. So I'm praying that they do something to help speed that process up, that I don't have to wait in limbo the next 2 to 4 years.
What would it mean, let's say, then you are forced to go back to the States, and would you leave your children behind while you try and process your paperwork, or would you have to then move with your children?
Well, that's the scary thing is truly if in a month nothing's happened and my visitor's visa is up, they could deport you while your children are at creche. I mean, they have a right to do that. And then you just find yourself in the other country, and then there's very kids in this country. That is a slim possibility, but I mean, I'm praying that that doesn't happen. Though they have a right to do that. I think if it gets to that point, it comes down to the last days, I'll just have to leave with the kids and go back to America. But like I said, I don't really feel safe raising. I mean, my husband was killed for being black, and my kids are black. You know, in there's no such thing as colored in America. It's white or black. And if you have curly hair, you're on the black side. And I just don't want to live with the daily threat of not knowing if they're going to be safe with the way America's police are and and society. I know they're safe here in that regard.
Yeah. Let's talk about the investigation. I mean, you're still grieving. You're still in shock. And, of course, the Hawaii probe into your husband's death was concluded, and they said that the police were justified in shooting him. And where are you standing with the case and your fight for justice?
Well, you know, it's really disappointing. It seemed like they didn't look at the evidence at all. I mean, you can say that, you can hear it after in the tapes they have, the cops saying, you know, I didn't see him. Oh, my gosh, I didn't see him. So if you didn't see where he was, then it was too dark. And if it was too dark, he didn't know you're police because he kept asking, who are you? So the fact that they just threw the case out, I mean, it seemed like another political move on behalf of Honolulu where there had been 2 shootings the week of Lindani's death. They killed another man of color. And so they let that case go, and they won that case, or they gave them that case. Yep, we'll charge the police. And then they told them with Lindani's, because he fought back, let's just, you know, let's do this one to show we still support the cops. Let's do this one to show we still support the people. You know, they felt like they were it seems as if they felt they were in this in-between, trying to do a kind of a political move there. But, so that was really disappointing, that those police officers, like, you can still be on the force. You know, you can murder someone. It's okay. Just carry on and just jump back on the force. But now we're still working on the civil case, but that was the criminal case. No charges.
Lindsay, thank you so much for chatting to us. We wish you all the best. May you continue to really gather strength as you mitigate life and look to a new chapter. Lindsay Myeni, the wife of the late Lindani Myeni, speaking to us as we remember the tragedy that unfolded in Hawaii as a South African man was shot by police